Yeah, back in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Was good?
All right, for all things Track Stars, make sure you go to Trackstarz with the Z.com. Make sure you like the Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and download the app.
Plain James in the building.
What's good, man? Glad to be back once again.
Man, we are back. We were gone last week.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, thank you for the rewind, sir.
Yeah, no
that was
problem.
dope. Thank you for everybody that watched that. Obviously, it was a replay of our best moments so far this year, but you guys still came and hung out. I know Crispy was in there communicating with y'all, so that was awesome. I was out of town. Ryan was doing some stuff with his family, so we had to cancel. But we'll be here. We got a big show today, but first, everybody good? Y'all good? Jeremiah, you good?
Yeah, man. Yep.
About you?
Oh, yeah, man. Doing good.
All is well, man. All is well.
All right, guys. All right. A lot to get into today. First, we are going to be talking about Ray J on Club Shay Shay.
Mm-hmm.
He said a lot of things. We're actually going to pick a different topic, but then Jeremiah sent me a clip that came later in the show. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the one. All right, so let's do it.
Best guess. How different is that family, or is that family life?
You know, I think more of the question is how different would we all be? How different would this whole thing be? How different would the industry be? How different would the wheel roll? Everything would be different. We would all be different. All of us. Everybody in here would be different. We would have on different clothes.
What you mean?
Everything would be different, meaning like you would never ask me that question. Meaning if we sat here right now,
Right.
we got to this point, what, like, I don't know, probably more people would be going to college and, you know what I'm saying, getting an education to be successful. There might not be any OnlyFans and other things like that, other opportunities like that. So, I mean, are we a part of the cure? Are we a part of the disease? I don't know. All I know is I'm just trying to make it right.
Were you ever embarrassed when the tape came out?
It's a long pause.
Yeah. I have kids now, so when I have kids,
And
everything that we did now when I have kids is just totally different. The whole thing is wacky. Before I was just like, but with my kids, it's not okay. And so I can't, without me going too far into it, without me getting in trouble. Yeah, I mean, nah, it's not okay now. But I'm 43 with a kid that's 4 and a kid that's 6. My daughter's 6, my son's 4. And even though you're young, and even in that young kid world, they'll all probably think it's cool.
Yeah.
Until you have kids.
Wow, man.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell if we should take him seriously or not, because like he had moments through this thing where it sounded like he was being like genuine and sincere, but then he would do stuff like that where it's just like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. What you think about? Would the world be different if the Ray J Kim tape did not exist?
I think it would.
I don't know, because I mean, there's other celebrities that have gotten caught doing that too. You know,
But they didn't have the impact that had.
Yeah, now I would say that if Kim was never a household name, then yeah, I think a lot of things would be different. I think a lot of things would be different.
I think people don't see the impact of Kim Kardashian, and I feel like her, because at that time she was just a LA socialite.
She was a stylist.
She was a stylist. She was
mother.
she was the in crowd out there, but we didn't know, the world didn't know who she was. Ray J and that tape took her to another level, to the point where her mom flipped it, got the deal with E, and then rest is history. And then I think the reason why he said what he said was because we you know how if you watching the WNBA now, they said if something blow up and Caitlin I was gonna say Clayton Clark,
yeah.
They call it the Caitlin Clark effect. Well, Kim Kardashian has the Kim Kardashian effect.
Oh, yeah,
that a lot of situations change after her success, and people starting to see, and some women starting to see, like, oh, that's what we can do. And also, to me, in my opinion, shame. She kind of wiped away shame, like, because back in the day, I remember like the rapper Eve, when she was doing interviews, and I remember seeing a diary about her, and she was like, "Yeah, the X stripper," and she was like I'm ashamed of that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Kim Kardashian now she feels the shame of it, but I don't think back then it was just like it is what it is, and we used it to do something better. But that's what I feel like. I think a lot of the OnlyFans crowd look up to Kim Kardashian. I think that's one of their idols.
I agree. I think that sex tape spearheaded the whole movement, because after that you saw Paris Hilton and you saw other people. It created a mentality
Tommy
of
and Pamela Lee.
Yep.
Yeah.
It created a whole mentality of all attention is good attention. Like when you're trying to promote yourself and you're trying to be known, you're trying to be a celebrity, if they're talking about you in any way, at least you're being talked about. At least you're still relevant. And I think that created a whole mindset for people where not just sexually, but just shame in general. People would do a whole bunch of toxic behavior to get attention. That whole tape, that was the first of its kind in our space, like, you know what I'm saying, urban hip-hop culture with Ray J and stuff being involved. So I think it did spearhead a whole thing where people felt like, where women felt like, okay, it's okay for me to be a certain way publicly and dress a certain way and carry myself a certain way. Because look at Kim, she did it, and now she got a bag. You know what I'm saying? Look at Kim, now she dating Reggie Bush. And, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like the toxic culture was kind of fueled, not by that alone, but it helped fuel a whole toxic culture to where the way we look at relationships, the way we look at, like, people are not looking at sex like a sacred thing. It's just something people do. She's been married and divorced several times. It's like the sanctity of marriage is out the window. She dating this guy, she dating that guy. It's like, and people still champion her as just this great role model for women. You know what I'm saying? Like, she did a sex tape. Now you look at it in the future. Now he's saying, I got a 4-year-old daughter, 6-year-old, and they got to live with the fact that their dad was out here publicly just doing this. Like, it's shameful. But you weren't thinking about that then. All you were thinking about was how can I stay relevant?
Yeah, and that's the thing that's always bothered me with Ray J. Is like Ray J has always kind of existed in the shadow of Brandy, and he was also, you know, popular in his own right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, he wasn't the greatest music artist.
He was not.
But I mean, he had some hits that
he was better than
go.
Lloyd.
Oh, he was better.
Hey yo, chill out. That was good. That was to me. Chill out. Lloyd was a legend.
Hey, he said he had a song, I Got One Wish, and he named like 30 of them.
Yeah. And so
Sexy Can I still goes.
And so, but he also had, you know, Wait a Minute, like with Lil' Kim.
Yeah,
so he had some things that put him on the map. And then his acting with Sinbad. He had a show with Sinbad.
I mean, he was on Moesha too. But I would say this. I would say he was more famous than her. So that tape, honestly, to me, his career went down after that tape, in my personal opinion. But it didn't really pop. It didn't go crazy.
No, because you know why? Ray J kind of always came off to me as a poser. Like
he ain't a poser, bro.
No, like I'm saying, like it felt like he was. It felt like, you know, like even when Club Shay Shay, and when they asked him like, why did you run with a gang? Like, you came from this
church background,
this stellar family background. Like, you know, your sister's doing this.
But at the same time, you got something to prove. Some dudes be like, that's my sister. That's my sister's success. That's not my success. That's not.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
No, but I'm talking about.
I agree with Ryan. He always came off like a poser to me too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Like you don't need to be doing this.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And so, you know, what their blood cousin is Snoop Dogg, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So you got this family dynamic that's, you know, killing black culture music. And you out here talking about I'm in a gang and I'm doing it.
But at the same time, it's the same way as a kid that's living in Alpharetta that's got a nice rich family and he part of a set.
Talking about the Migos?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying we've seen that where kids come from good backgrounds.
Yeah.
They still part of gangs. They still trying to be in the streets. That's just happened naturally because especially as for boys, it's like if I'm in a house by myself. Or my dad's there, and he kind of not giving me the attention I want. I'm going to go try to find the attention
That's
elsewhere.
What I'm going to say. The culture of gangs is it kind of helps fill a void that you may be lacking. So you may come from a $500,000 house in Alpharetta where it seems like the prototypical good family. Yeah. But if you have no relationship with your dad, your mom, or somebody working all the time, you feel ignored, and these people over here showing you a certain kind of love, it's still corny, you know what I'm saying, to do it, but that's why it happens.
He said the reason he got into the gang environment was because his sister was on the road and his mom was traveling too, and he would be at home with his grandmother bored with nothing to do.
See, that ain't
That's
respect.
not good enough reason.
That's not respectable.
Yeah,
I'm not going to join a gang because I'm bored. I'm not going to go out here and risk my life and my freedom because I'm bored. It's better thing to get a video game. You know
But
what I'm saying?
there's a million Ray J's all across the world because everybody it's glamorized.
Yeah.
It's told to you that you're cool if you're in a gang. You're cool if you have some dark
but
past.
he
You're from a
was-
bad area. So people that aren't from those areas feel like they need to
But-
pretend to be like they're
But
from
how many
those
people? How many people was testing him because he was Brandy's little brother?
Yeah.
But he also had his
Nobody.
own success.
You don't
That's
think
the
so?
crazy
areas.
thing.
No, he's fine.
Yeah, nobody was testing him.
You
with
don't
the
think
same
nobody
excuse.
was like you know how people make
in the
fun
streets,
in
bro.
the
I'm pretty
streets?
sure he got tried a couple times. No.
I
Especially
think-
if they was living in the hood. I mean, I don't
So
know.
you
if
gonna go join them? Like,
No, but what I'm saying to you is how it at times how it goes is if you live on a block and that gang represent that block,
Yeah.
you either you associated regardless if you
Now,
like where you
You'll
live at.
join to
The question
prove
is this.
yourself.
Yeah.
They picking on you. You be like, man, y'all, shoot, I can be down.
You don't want to
know what
fight
I'm saying?
somebody every day.
He
Yeah.
had success.
You get tired of that.
He had success as a young boy. Like he's in his
And that's even worse.
preteens. But you know what I'm saying, but
That's
you're in your
worse.
preteens and you're on television and
That's
you're making
worse.
money.
Yes.
You don't have to
So-
be in that neighborhood. You don't have to associate with
But you
those
don't know
people.
why you don't understand why he was in that neighborhood. He
but
didn't
he told him. He said it was because I wanted to be cool. It wasn't because of anything.
No, but what
he
I'm
was
saying is if he was there with his let's say his grandmother lived there and he go outside to play basketball, all these guys is in a blood gang, eventually they're going to ask you what's up, what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's not just I think we think it's simple to
I
easily
think
go
it's
like
different.
I don't have to do that. It's like you have to deal with this every day.
You never had to deal with that, Jeremiah.
I actually left New Jersey by the time gangs really started popping off. But I understand
The
that.
gangs were around me. I've
Got
been
you.
Gangs were
approached and
around
stuff.
me.
You don't have to do
You
it.
don't, but what I'm
never
saying
got
to I think
yeah.
for some people it's like I don't want to deal with this every day of my life. And
But-
then when you see rivals like where you from? I'm from are you from part you still dealing with some of that stuff.
The point is, he did what he did. Now, to get back to the tape,
Yeah.
is OnlyFans a result of that?
Yes, and that's why I said that. That's why me and James said that Kim Kardashian is a worse influence on her kids than Kanye is right now. Now, when his little site pops up, it's going to be a different situation.
It's the family business.
But think about it though. Who inspired the whole movement to where a porn site will be even?
Yeah.
It's her.
Yeah.
She.
But wait. Now you mentioned Pam and Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
Wasn't that
That was
way
like the
before?
90s.
Yeah,
That was the 90s.
So you almost blamed it.
No, I
on
said that celebrities were doing this though.
Oh.
That's like it was a thing.
And then I think
that-
Paris Hilton was before Kim Kardashian.
I'm just saying, like
too.
it
Just
was.
in
It
the
was
urban
Why,
space.
so why this one? Why are we saying that this one made such
because
a big difference?
Ray J was
Because-
attached to it.
well, no, I think it's because Kim Kardashian.
Wait a minute.
Was
Wait
every,
a minute. Are you saying that because Ray J was attached to it?
Yeah.
That's what made.
I think
Wait,
I
wait,
think
wait,
I think
wait,
I
wait,
think
Wait,
it
y'all
wasn't-
remembering Ray J way different than me.
No, it wasn't a lot of y'all gotta understand. It wasn't not a lot of black celebrities releasing sex tapes like
Okay.
that. So what I'm saying to y'all is, you get with somebody that's a famous person, and it hits the streets like that.
Famous person.
Yeah, he-
so I just
There's levels
I
to
don't
it.
remember Ray
I
J
look at it
being
different.
famous like
I
that.
think it's different because you gotta look at the OJ trial. You know, you got her dad with the lawyer or
Yeah.
whatnot. So he was somewhat kind of known. Like you
It
know
was
what I'm
more of
saying?
the
And-
Kim of it
yeah.
than the Ray J.
It was more
to
the
me.
Kim part. So it's like now you got
But
Ray
she
J.
wasn't nobody then.
But you got to look at
But
Ray
her
J.
history, as soon as it happened, it was like, oh, that's the one from the such and
That's
such.
from the OJ case.
That's what
you know
made
I'm saying?
it
It's
a
OJ
big deal.
lawyer daughter. So you see that, and then you look at her. She's an attractive female. So what's going to happen? People are going to gravitate and look at her anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that right there kind of spearheaded her whole movement. Like you said, you come off the tape, now her mom is monopolizing businesses and all kind of stuff
Yeah.
off of that. So now you look at who Kim Kardashian is. It all started from that sex tape.
Yeah.
Who is the role model for a lot of these young women out here? Who are they looking at saying, I want to be like? They got the TV show. They got the fashion line. They're doing this like, she is influential for a lot of young ladies. I know grown women who will argue. We had some women on the show. They almost put me in the headlock arguing, taking up for Kim Kardashian, and they don't even know her personally.
Yeah.
But they were going to jump me. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how influential she is.
jump you when
So
they
I
see
think everybody followed what she's doing. So they're looking, this how Kim got famous? Oh, she got naked? Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Oh, she had a sex tape? Oh, that was, she
But
got...
I think there's a lead up to some of this because I think also too, I think it's a lot of stuff that piled on to that. I think the tape was one of the things. I think us in the music in the 2000s talk about strip club culture was another thing.
Yeah.
I think it was a lot of stuff that built up to OnlyFans when OnlyFans got hot and people was like, Because originally OnlyFans was like more of a musician thing before it turned adult entertainment.
So let me ask you this question too: how much does Snoop play into Ray J's complex? Like Snoop is the older cousin, the gangbanger, the successful rapper.
Yeah.
How much does that play into Ray J saying, "I want to be like my cousin. I want to be in a gang. I want to be famous for this and famous for that." You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's what I imagined. He
Yeah.
didn't mention that, but that's what I imagined was the real pull.
because when I was growing up, I didn't have any cousins to look up to. But I imagine if I did, it would have been. It would have
more,
felt like
to
that.
me, that's more of a reason why he would have been in a gang than, whatever, like, getting tested. But like, what you talking about?
And if somebody is messing with you, isn't it just a phone call you can make?
But I feel what he's saying to a certain degree, because if you're famous and you get money, sometimes people will penalize you because you come from a good family. They will try to jump on you and pick on you, because really deep down they're jealous because they don't have the situation that you have.
Yeah.
So they'll try to make you feel bad about the success of your family. So in order to avoid that, sometimes you will try to prove yourself by being tough, by joining the gang, by falling under peer pressure to show them like, hey, I'm tough like you guys. And now you're diving into a world you have no business being in, and a lot of times that don't end well.
But then he said, my homeboys rock with me for whatever I do. They always, my homies always got my back, and they always support anything I do.
You got more money than all of them.
Yeah, but it's like, even if you do goofy stuff, they're not tripping off that, because a lot of people, I think about this all the time. If I had gone to school with a celebrity that's out there right now doing, big thing, I think the biggest person from my class that did something was he got on the Atlanta Braves and he was a pitcher, right? Nobody really care about that. So if you have a celebrity that you went to school with, people aren't really so much hating on you. They're kind of like looking at you like, man, kind of glad you made it. Like, somebody from our school,
Some
like
people,
you think about, how they felt about Snoop and what's his name? He went to school with Cameron Diaz. So it's like, those, you see them on TV and you're like, oh, they made it. You don't really want to hate on them because you're like, they got their success.
Depends.
It just depends, man. Some people, they just angry, bro. Like some folks, like, if I'm eating ramen noodles every day.
Now that might have been the situation.
Heat my house up with the oven. You know what I'm saying?
That might have been the
And you over
situation
here
with.
and you just getting it in. You come to school. You got the new shoes on all the time. Whatever. Like people would like. Why you think folks were taking each other starter jackets and Jordans and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like, I can't get it, so I'm gonna take yours. Like,
And I guess you could use Nipsey Hussle's situation as that. You know what I'm saying? His
Jealousy,
friend
man.
being jealous or whatever.
yeah, it happened all the time.
Yeah. But I do think that Kim and Ray J's tape is definitely a culture.
It contributed,
Culture
but not
vulture.
because of Ray J. That's my opinion.
I think
It had nothing to do with it.
Kim was the one.
When I first heard about this, it was tied to Ray J. It wasn't about Kim. It was
really-
Interesting.
But
Ray
after
J's
the tape-
mom. But she was the stylist to Ray J's mom, and Ray
stylist
J
to
was
Brandy. She was a stylist to Brandy. Kim
Okay.
Kardashian was a stylist to Brandy. Yeah.
okay. And so it was like, she got the attention of her little brother, and her little brother was already famous, and he was already doing movies and television and rapping.
None of that stuff.
All I know, after the
That's
tape,
what I
she
heard.
skyrocketed. You know what I'm saying? Like, he might have been the reason why they came, but he ain't the reason why they cared after the tape.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I get what he's saying, but I what it sounds like to me is he knows he's doing wrong right now, and he literally, this is like I don't even know if his dad's a pastor, but he said Church of Christ, which makes me nervous. So anyway, let's just say he's this is a prodigal son situation, but the question mark on the Christian part, and then but it sounds like his sister's like, hey, you wilding out. That's what I got from this interview. You wilding out, keeping my distance. He knows he's doing wrong, but he's like, I gotta get. I know I'm doing wrong, but I gotta get this stuff done.
But then he's releasing a new app, kind of like Bad Girls Club, where he got girls
That's what I'm
fighting.
saying. But he knows he's doing wrong.
Yeah.
Which is so weird. That's why I'm like, I don't know whether to take him seriously because he's like, I'm embarrassed. I have kids. Are you really? Like, you're still doing the embarrassing
Trying to
things
stay
actively
relevant.
right now. Anyway, so here's another thing. Candace Owens was on George Janko's podcast and said some interesting things. I'm gonna just let you guys hear it.
When I see these people standing up and talking about identity issues or their background issues or wherever their viewpoints are, I have so much empathy because I'm like, you're broken and you're lost, and everybody keeps pushing you to hell's fire, and no one's giving you any real love. Like when you I'll give you an example of Friends. Like If you have friends that are always telling you, Candace, dude, you're killing it, bro. Like, the way you punched that little kid in the face, dog, he deserved it. You're like, no, you should probably tell him, like, hey, dude, I love what you said, but you shouldn't punch that kid in the face. You have to have somebody give you the real like, you shouldn't do that. And I feel like now because of the media, especially with the algorithm, they're only feeding things for your ego. And it's causing a separation. So how do we teach them how to love? Because I feel like the separation is like us like really never being able to see it from their point of view.
I disagree with that, I would have to say. I disagree with the premise. I don't think that it's not seeing things from their point of view. I think actually the entire world is bending down to see things from their point of view. Like we can't even misgender someone on YouTube. Seeing things from their point of view is being blared out cultural messaging. No matter how they feel, they have to be affirmed, right? That is actually the culture. They're being affirmed in the classrooms. That's why they're bratty. It's actually we're suffering from too much love, too much coddling, too much with their hand being held. So if the pendulum is going to swing back, it needs to be with more aggression, in my view, right? If you're going to even that out, they need a moment that just smacks them in the face and it's, you're not that special. You're actually not that special. Nothing about your life to me is enviable. You're not going to use words to try to silence conversation by calling this homophobia. There's so many different words. This is sexism, chauvinism, this is homophobia, feminism, whatever it is. So yeah, I very much disagree with the premise that these people need love. I think that's what's been happening is that they have the wrong idea of what love is. And in my view, love is discipline. Love is discipline. I think it's important because you want people to do well in life. And so the people that are affirming them, like you just said, are setting them down a path of absolute failure. This is why these kids end up, they come out of college, they have a useless degree in gender studies, and they don't even know who to be angry at when they can't get a job. And so they blame the white man, the rich man, the tall man. It's because of racial prejudice. It's because women can't get, no, it's because literally you have done nothing of value in your life. Nothing and value at all, right? The world lied to you, the teachers lied to you, your mom lied to you, your dad lied to you. So I'm just going to stand up here and be the truth.
Dang, jeez, Candace.
She was telling the truth.
What you
Can't say
so what do
people
you
don't
think?
have value in their life, though. You say, you can't say that.
What do you think?
God
Trey?
doesn't say that.
Oh, you about to go to another?
No. Go. What you think?
Hey, show.
What?
Oh, because of what I said? I said she would tell the truth because I feel like at times, sometimes when you have people that, when you're looking at younger people at sometimes and you see the bad decisions they're making is because it starts in the home. And if you're not giving discipline to people and you're not telling them the truth, you're just letting them go by. Once they leave your house, they're going to go to college. And then once they leave college, they're going to go into the workplace. And once they go in the workplace, you're going to have to deal with them. And you as a manager or whatever, you have to deal with those people. I've seen that firsthand when you at a job and young people don't want to work and they look at you like, I ain't doing this. And you're like, well, you got to go home. You know what I mean? And that's just being real. But that person, you could tell that person they haven't really hit reality yet.
Spoiled.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying at the end part. That's the part
What do you
I'm
think,
talking about.
Ryan, though?
I'm just laughing. I mean, I've heard this argument before about the gender studies part.
That was funny.
That was funny. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a difference. I was saying something one day about job hoppers, right? And I was saying, man, I just don't know if I want to be that person, right? Like, and a person in my family was like, no, that's a good thing. People are not standing by and idly letting people tell them what their value is. They're going out and they're creating their value.
Yeah.
And so that's why I said you can't tell people that they don't have value because they have value from God's eye or lens alone. So that part to me is offset. But I'm just thinking like, you know, there's so many different things that I think people can study, and we look at it like, man, that might be pointless to me, but it may actually have some type of value or standard with them.
Here's a question. When she's talking about value, like you're not bringing value to the world. You're
That's
not
what she
bringing.
means.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think she's talking about you as a
You
person.
don't have value.
Yeah, but I think she was saying
I mean,
you
it's
don't
the
bring
same thing
value.
though. You do bring value to the world if you're purposed and fashioned by God in any sense. So you do bring value.
But what happens if you go somewhere and you don't add on to the company?
You may not bring value to the job in the sense that your studies are there, but you learn things that do bring value. Like, I mean, I used to work for a company where we used to talk about how, you know, sitting in a classroom, people will say there's no value in that. And say there's plenty of value because you're not just getting one subject. You're getting plenty of subjects. You're learning discipline. You're learning, how to sit up and listen. You're learning, active listening. Like there's so many different things you get out of that. Yeah. So you can't say it doesn't have value.
It doesn't have value to you.
Yeah. It may not have value
that's
to the.
That's what she's saying. It doesn't have, in her opinion, there's no value.
Right. But you can't be that opinionated.
Well, I've seen stuff where, like, I've seen something where Killer Mike was talking about, like, young people learn to trade because the trade will keep you with money in your pocket versus just trying to do something that you like. I don't understand. And what I guess what she's coming across as is like, when you don't build to society, your society normally crumbles when you don't build. When you have a bunch of people, a group of people not building to society, then that doesn't help that society.
So the real question is, are these the people that she's talking about are liberals? That's what she means, right? So the point is her assertion is that they're being loved too much. George was trying to say we need to learn to empathize with them more. Yeah. She said, no, they're being loved too much. What do you think about that?
I agree. I agree with her. Yeah, I think you think cod liver oil, you think castor oil, you think black seed oil, you think sea moss. Like, all these things are great for you. But when them mugs go down, it's disgusting. But it's good for you. Like, that's how I took her message just now. It was like, that what she's saying is like, we're coddling people too much. We're lying to people, making them feel like everything is okay. But you're going to go out into a real world that's going to swallow you and eat you alive if you don't have a real life perspective on how this is going to work. You need a job that's going to be able to make money long term. Yeah, that's right. You're going to need to be able to take care of your family. You're going to need to be able to make wise decisions and have communication skills and do these different things. But when you're living in your bubble and you just focus on the things that you feel like is important and you're not looking at what's going on around you, it's like with this show. We just said, hey, we're going to talk about the things that are just only matter to us. We may have a small subject matter of things that we actually care about, but people want to hear perspective on a wider scope of things.
Yeah, sure.
So you have to be able to have range. You got to be, like Paul would say, I got to be all things to all men. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily going to let these things tell me who I am, but I'm going to be so well versed that any setting I go to, I can bring value to that setting.
But I think Jesus is both. Both.
That's where I was heading.
I think Jesus is like to show empathy to people, but then also tell them the truth. Yeah. And I think that's what it is. I think when you just tell the truth, people probably going to be like, you saying the right things, but you sound like a jerk.
That's my only issue with Candace. Like, I prefer this version of Candace than the politics version, but I'll just say this. I agree. A lot of people are on Candace's side in here, but I agree with B+. She may be right, but I never like her delivery. That's how I feel. I'm like,
it's the way it's the tone that she uses. It's like, I'm better than you.
So how can she say it?
I just want to get back to the core question. Yeah. Somebody that's like, hey, affirm my pronouns, or speak to me the way I need. Like you're not considering me. Those kind of people. Yeah. Are you saying that if, as a Christian, when you encounter somebody who's offended by the Word of God and they're all that stuff, is your inclination to try to sit down and be like empathize with them and try to talk them through it, or is your inclination to say, man, get over it, man, you're wrong? Like, that seems like the choices we're having. George was coming from I need to understand them more and figure out why they feel the way they feel, and Candace is like, no.
So I'm a recruiter.
Which is right.
I'm a recruiter, right? So I was interviewing somebody one day, and he was just like, he's like, I feel like I bring way more value, and you need to pay me more for who I am. Mm-hmm. And I was like, interview done. Like, this is a wrap. And the manager's saying the same thing, like, cut this dude off. We were on Zoom. It's the entitlement. Yeah. And so I was watching this. This came up on TikTok one day. Y'all probably saw this, or maybe we shared it in our chat or something. But there was a young person, transgender person, that was being interviewed on the news. And the person said their gender wrong. And the whole interview turned into, you said my pronouns wrong. And she was like, okay, well, I'm not asking you about your pronouns. I'm asking you, but like, why did you address me the wrong way? And so the whole argument stemmed from the entitlement.
So, but as a Christian, what's your reaction to that? Should we be more like Candace, where it's like, get over yourself, it's not all about you? Or should we be, I don't think George is really saying he's like this, but more like, okay, let me figure out why you feel that way. Let me talk to you, talk you through it. Yeah. I think the reason I'm asking is because I think Jeremiah hit it. Jesus was able to kind of be both.
Both, yep.
He was able to say some of the the roughest things I've ever heard in my life. To like,
Yeah.
no, you're a dog. Why are you you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also just to lift somebody up that was being treated like that, and give them grace. So it's like, how do you? I think some of us are not good at one or the other, right? You either too Candace, right? Where everything is just, or you're too like, it's okay, it's
Too
okay.
passive.
You know, I understand. You know, how do you get the middle of that route?
I think because people's family are involved with this, is that they're so passive that they're like no earthly good, almost. But at the same time, you don't want to be so truthful that they don't want to hear from you, because if they don't want to hear from you, then they may be like, if that's a Christian, I don't want to be a Christian.
I think it depends on the person you're talking to, the way they're approaching the situation. If you see they're like living a certain kind of way and they're not as aggressive, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to come like Candace on somebody who's a little more passive, who may be more open to what you're saying. But and sometimes somebody is like you're talking to an atheist or somebody who's really dogmatic about how they feel, and they feel like they're just giving you facts on facts on facts. And sometimes you gotta just hit, you know what I'm saying? Like with Christ, like when he was eating the grain in the field, and they were like, you should be eating that. He didn't just go home. Yeah, he went to the temple right after that and said, and let me keep on letting y'all know how I feel. Like he came at him and let him know, like, you know what I'm saying? But it was time, like Sean was saying, like when he was like gentle. So
there was times where he was surprisingly gentle, and then there were times where he was surprisingly rough, like flipping tables over. And it usually, in the way I remember, is that he was usually rougher with the religious people and kinder with the sinners.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? So like how do we navigate now where everybody's kind of all of those things mixed up? So how do you
the best conversation comes when permission is given and permission is granted, because you have to kind of let somebody know, hey, I want to correct you, but I want to do it in love. Are you open to the feedback? Are you open to like, I had a conversation with a friend earlier, and I was like, yo, bro, I got a word from the Lord. I was like, but can I correct you? And he was like, give it to me straight. Give it to me straight. I say, I can correct you in love. I can correct you, you know, from what the Lord told me to say. He was like, give it to me both ways, however you want.
Respect,
you know?
Bro. It's just about respecting somebody. Yeah. Really. Everybody deserves respect, whether you agree with their way of life or not. I'm still going to approach you with a manner of respect.
That's right.
You know? That's what I think.
Yeah, I think to me, honestly, as much as you need that people who are, I ain't gonna say passive, but just people who have a heart for people, and that's really like genuinely just loving them through the process, versus the street preacher who's saying everybody going to hell. Honestly, you need both, because the street preacher that's saying everybody going to hell, somebody out there like an atheist may be like, yo, what is he talking about? And they may have a conversation that he may need tough love.
Yeah, I'm turned off by the street preacher.
No, but what I'm saying is sometimes some people need tough love. And some other people just need to be loved through a process.
That's why you need the Holy Spirit, the discernment to know this person needs to be told. Like I've seen my old college pastor. There was a guy that was in our college group that was a predator. Like he was preying on women. Like he was dating them and then doing stuff and then dumping them, dating another one. And my pastor had to get in his face like, get out of here. Like straight up, no. Let's talk about your feelings and let's figure out why you. No, it's like, get out. It was like that. You know what I mean? So you need to know when to be hammer or, you know what I'm saying, like the blanket. You know. So that's the thing. I don't think we always know which one to be. But there's certain situations, like I think Ryan's right. You do need to be like, hey, you're going to go to hell if you keep doing this. You don't wake up. Some people do need to hear that. This is true.
Yeah. When I was in college, I had a professor who was a pastor, you know. So I thought, and so one day we have a strip at the AU Center. So we were walking down the strip, and we saw this guy from Morehouse with high heels on, and he started just yelling at the guy. Like, get off the street, da-da-da-da-da. And then he looked at me, and he was like, why you not going to say nothing? You're a man of God. Stand up for yourself. Say something.
That's
Protect
the
the kingdom.
Situation. Which one
and
are
I was
you?
like,
like, that ain't the right way.
That was the last time we had the conversation, because I was like, I'm never speaking to him again. He wasn't even my professor.
But that's another great situation of there are certain people who would say that's exactly what you should have done. And then there's certain people that are like, that's not the right way to approach that. That person will never get saved. You know what I mean?
No.
Because you just injured them with the word
he just
of God.
The dude just flipped us off and kept going and was like, I mean, that wasn't you didn't reach him at all.
Yeah, it just depends on who you're dealing with. Cause like you said, you might have a situation like that. I've been doing outreach and like talk to murderers, and it's like they looking you dead in your eye. You can just tell, you know, it's just a different vibe. You know what I'm saying? And you just, they just want to hear it raw. Like, look, like you said,
tell me,
bro, you going to hell. Ain't no way around it.
Yeah.
You to get right now, you don't know how much longer you're going to be here. The lifestyle you living is over with.
And if you would have been gentle with him, you would have lost him.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
But
man,
you got to know who was who.
But
you
I
know?
think that's the power of the Holy Spirit and discernment and wisdom. And I think you said the story a couple weeks ago about you was in the outreach and you saw somebody come up try to disturb it. And
I had to be rough with that.
Yeah.
that was discernment. God put on your heart to be like, say this, Sean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or give him that because that's what he needed. And I think that's the power of God. Like when you're in situations, and of course praying before a situation, you do outreach or whatever you do, but God's power will get you in those situations to help you in those.
But that's what makes it hard when you have a microphone and you have a platform and you're talking to lots of people at the same time.
Yeah.
Some of the people need what you're saying.
Yeah.
It went rough, and some people need it gentle.
Yeah.
But you're spraying it all at people all at once.
I
And
think
that's
too.
what how do you know what to say?
It's tough too. I think that's why you have the body of Christ. I think some people are built for certain types of ministry and certain types of settings, but it all works together. Now we should be able to be versatile. I believe that, but some people are going to they're more gentle in their temperament, so they might be able to talk to this certain group of people. Yeah. Some people, no matter how hard you try to be soft and gentle, it's still going to come across like a Brillo pad. You know what I'm saying? So it just, if that's your lane, you know.
But I think both still got to tell the truth, though.
Everybody has to tell the truth.
Yeah, the
That's
truth.
right.
The truth can't be. You can't be passive with the truth. And another thing too is the Bible is offensive. It's offensive to us, and it's going to be offensive to non-believers. So when people go in knowing that, then you'll be fine. So whatever approach you chose,
make sure the offense is the Bible and not you.
Yeah. That's what it is.
All right, the poll. Crispy put up a poll. Do you think Candace is right that folks are too coddled and sheltered from reality and need tough love? 46% said absolutely. 48% said it varies. 4% rarely, and 2% not really. All right, so Candace says something else while she was there that we thought was
How
interesting.
do you feel about your culture and what they do with music?
I think it's a part of it. It's a part, and I've talked about this on my show, who owns these record label companies? Who signs a Sexy Red? You can go out and you can get any artist in the world based on their talent. Why is it that when you come to Black America, you want to platform someone like Sexy Red, when it used to be you platform people like Lauryn Hill? This is intentional. This is intentional because, as Confucius said, a Chinese philosopher said that what is in your ears will eventually be what surrounds you, right? Music is very powerful.
I heard a saying that music doesn't need an invitation to your soul.
That's a great way of saying
into
it. Yeah, and
you are who you hang out with, but if you're just listening to it all the time. And I always got confused. I could never have said it because I'm not Black. But if I had an Assyrian culture and all they did was make money off of belittling my people, I would not pay money for it. I'd be like, yo, what are you doing? You switch sides on us. Like, why would you make it out, quote, and then where you came from, why don't you come grab us and build us out? Do you ever get scared of speaking the way you speak?
No, I feel very comfortable speaking the way I speak because I'm Team God, right? Yeah, if God has you, who can be against you?
All right, so what do you think about what she's saying about Black culture, Black music, the fact that George asked her in the first place?
That was a delicate thing. I agree to the point where they do push certain kind of agendas and certain kind of music to our demographic or people in certain places. Yeah. But it's just, going back to what we just said just now, where you were saying it could be kind of harsh. It's like when you call Sexy Red out, Sexy Red can't help what she grew up at. She can't help, you know what I'm saying, who she is, or, you know what I'm saying, like this might be all she knew. So to come out and just name somebody like that and just say, man, you know, that was kind of harsh. But I think what she was saying about the message and the things they're pushing to the agenda they have, it's obvious. Like, you really don't see no other race outside of Black people really promoting music that's as hazardous. Now, you got some white music that's promoting drugs and, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. But we talking about just all along violence, the sexuality, all this kind of stuff. Nobody makes music to tear down their own race, I think, like African Americans
Yeah.
do.
We do it the best.
It's entertainment. And
We,
it was
we
like,
do it the best. We tear each other down.
I remember somebody bringing that point up with the Good Times animation.
Yeah.
They were like, there's a culture out here. There's a race of people that would never allow you to put a baby as a drug dealer and peddle it to their kids. They would never sign off on that. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, they are so right. That would be fought tooth and nail. And then the funny thing about it is, they would never have they could, but they would never have the audacity to actually try that and do that, or like try to get it through their community, because their community would shut it down. The support for it wouldn't even be there.
They
That's
try to-
not true.
I do think that's true.
There's been people who've talked about drug use.
No. We're not talking about people. I'm talking about the cartoons.
Oh.
Like the cartoon of a baby dealing drugs and shooting up neighborhoods and stuff like that. That to me was the part I think that really took me over the edge.
I think there's
now we
other
get to a
races
whole
that
different situation.
I think there's other shows by other races that do despicable stuff.
Stereotype.
But I think they're.
But they're not asking the whole community.
No,
to back it.
but I think sometimes I think their race doesn't see it as my only way out.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for us, a lot of our only way out is entertainment, the streets, or athleticism.
Yeah.
And I think that's what she's coming from. Like, nobody's like, trying to be a doctor, a lawyer, or anything like that. It's like it's pushed on you to be something negative. And I think that's what she getting. I know you said her name is Sexy Red, but you know what I mean. But and to me, and I'm just being real. Like, I think Lauryn Hill wouldn't work at this time. In my personal opinion, just the way we are in the culture.
That's my question. Is it the and I think I know the answer, but is it the labels pushing Sexy Red on us, or is it us wanting a Sexy Red? Is it the culture that is asking the labels to give them those kind of people?
Yes.
Or is it the labels forcing that kind of thing on us?
Yeah.
Whose fault is it?
I think the climate asks for Sexy Red.
It's the gatekeeper.
You get what I'm saying?
Or is it the gatekeeper or the culture that's
Go back to our
"Please
experience,
find the
right?
next one."
Our experience was, we're gonna play the top 4 songs. We're gonna play the top 10 songs every 4 hours, and you're going to like it, right? That was our Radio One experience.
But that doesn't happen now.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't listen to terrestrial radio now.
There's no other situation like that now.
I think it's a combination of both. I
Yeah.
think so. You see how a lot of these artists, quote unquote, blow up. They'll have a song in their neighborhood or their community that's popular. They're basically rapping or talking about what's going on in their neighborhood. They gain local success. When they gain that local success, the label's saying, "Oh, they're already making money. They got motion already. Let's pick them up and put them on a larger stage." So it's like the labels, in my mind, they see what's going on and they say, "Okay, let's make this even bigger so we can capitalize off of it," because obviously they have something that people want to hear. Yeah. But I also think on the flip side, the labels say, "Hey, this is something that people want to hear." So now you have your industry plants. Now you have people who are just putting out
this
crazy
worked
stuff.
for her, so we need you to be exactly like her.
We need 5 more of her.
Yeah,
That's what happened
Like
with
Trina.
Soulja Boy.
You see, now look at who Trina was, and now look at the girls and what they're doing now. It's like Trina times 10.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Kim.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Soulja Boy came out with the Crank That, and then now we got a million dances coming out right after him.
Well, there's been always dances. In
But that's my point is if it didn't work locally, if the community didn't accept it themselves, would they even try to push a Sexy Red out? You see what I'm saying? Like, is the culture just
it's toxic.
Accepting
the
wrong
culture?
things in the
The
first
culture is toxic right now, and that's why I'm saying what I just said. And I think us older people be like probably give me pushback, but I'm like, this younger generation. I mean, there's hope for them, but I think at the same time they like toxic stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We did, but we had a balance. It was enough of a balance for us that we could be like, I don't have to listen to Kim, but I could listen to Lauryn. I don't have to listen to Biggie. I could listen to Common. You know what I'm saying? It was still a balance out there where now it's not as much of a balance.
But again, I don't think it was a balance. See, a balance would be there was a NWA and then there was a cross movement. You see what I mean? That's balance. Having completely negative and then neutral is not balance. It's still tipped.
Well,
the
for
wrong
them,
direction.
that is. So for what you just said, like somebody would say, "Well, I didn't listen to NWA. I listened to Public Enemy," even though it's conscious.
That's still not.
Yeah, but for them, for them, it is
in culture. Because remember, Andre, he said, "Man, they think we gospel rapping." You know what I'm saying? They're talking about crazy stuff. You want to look at a God.
To me, that's the problem.
Yeah,
The problem is that even the good stuff was bad.
right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was almost
Like J. Cole, he's looked upon as conscious.
He's the
and,
good
like,
guy- he's the
he's
good
the good
one.
guy, but he'll
Yeah.
talk about some crazy stuff too.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's the
yeah.
culture has been seeded with bad things. This is
Yeah.
just a crop of that.
But
you
I
know?
don't think I think their version, they're looking at the people from, like we said, the Public Enemies, the Brand Nubians, and all those kind of guys were like, they're positive. They're talking about what's going on and they're giving you a solution to it.
But the
But from
solution
us,
is
it's
terrible.
like, that's not the
Yeah.
solution. If it ain't Jesus, that's not the solution. You know what I mean? You're saying the solution is
But
be a
that-
5%er.
But that's the reason why we're in the situation we're in, is that it's either complete debauchery or the wrong answer
Yeah.
Right.
to
Yeah.
the debauchery.
There's no
So
win.
everywhere you turn is the wrong answer.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
this question, how did it get to this point? Because if you look at songs like The Message, you know what I'm saying, when in like the 80s, when it was 70s, when hip hop came out, and they were talking about everything, like broken glass everywhere. They talking about their neighborhood, but they were just enlightening you on what's going on. How did we go from talking about the neighborhood, just giving you information, to talking about the neighborhood, glorifying how bad my neighborhood
Because
is?
the drug dealer became the rapper.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yep.
I think in the early 80s, the Melly Mel's, all of them was talking about the society of like, we're in this bad situation. Let me tell you why we in this bad situation. Versus going towards the 90s when Snoop, Biggie, and everybody
Eazy-E and all of
everybody
that,
was
yeah.
telling you about, or in the late 80s, telling you about the streets and how fun it was, and we did this to homeboy, and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and then you had some people, and I ain't gonna say everybody was like that. You had some people that told you the good and the bad about being in the streets, but majority of the time, the people who were getting more and more popular were just telling the street life and not telling the consequences of it.
You went from the drug dealers to now we got the drug users.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's
Yeah.
cool to be popping perks. And
So Crispy said, do you agree that major labels, the powers that be, platform bad artist messages intentionally? 78% said definitely. Definitely. Man, we appreciate everybody. We got 142 live right now.
Amen.
Thank you guys for watching. If this is your first time, make sure you're subscribed. I asked last time we were here, it's like, hey, we this was when, if you look back here, we're at 61,200.
Oh.
This was right before we hit 60,000 2 weeks ago. And we were short like 7 people. And I was like, hey, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. And it was like, it went up like by 30.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, so maybe I need to say that more often. If you're not subscribed, subscribe right now. Please do that for us. Our goal is to hit 100,000 by the end of the year, so please help us do that.
Question though, so who buys the most hip hop though? Let's think about that though. Who spends their money the most on hip hop? White people.
Yeah.
So how do we look at that? So is it like they're enjoying the entertainment from us, just tearing ourselves down? That don't make you feel some kind of way?
I think
Yeah.
I think they see it as, like you said, entertainment wise, like
It's like watching a movie.
yeah, it's almost like putting your headphones on and you listening to the Chronic and you're like, I'm in Compton. Oh my God, this sounds amazing. Versus like, let's go to Compton. You're like, I'm not trying to go to, you know what I mean?
But folks are dying for real. Like rappers are really
Yeah.
dying, and they just like
just
they're rolling.
entertainment.
You look at Rolling Loud, you don't see no black people out there. You see Rolling Loud, you see a crowd like they're enjoying this mug. So you go back to the labels. How's a Rolling Loud happening? How are all these events happening? How is this stuff happening?
Yeah.
Like who's putting it in their hands? Because they're not coming to these neighborhoods getting this music. It's being
It's been central.
so that's why I
It's
say it's
just
on both.
attractive.
It's both sides. Mhm.
But for them, real quick, but for them sometimes, at times, I know growing up, at back then it was just, I enjoy this music. I'm not trying to live this lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like, this is entertainment. If I listen to this, I'm going to school and I'm going to be a doctor or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think for them, back in the day, it wasn't a pull. Now it's maybe a little bit more pull, but back in the day, I don't think it was a pull.
Speaking of the influence of music, Jackie Hill Perry was sitting down with Tim Ross and talking about Kehlani.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Kehlani, so
He's
you
like
have
an
to
R&B
fill me
singer.
in.
Yeah.
But this is what she
I
said.
had a conversation with a friend. She listens to Kehlani, and she told me about this. She told me about this interview Kehlani had with this certain religion that she's a part of, and I was like, I'm a nerd, I like studying witches and mediums and stuff like that. It's weird. So I was like, oh, what religion? Let me learn about it. And it was Santeria, the worship
snap.
of the dead. And so I started
Lord
looking.
have mercy. That's dark.
No, it is. So I started to look at some of Kehlani's songs, and she has this song called Altar. And I looked at the lyrics, and I said, hey, friend, Did you know that the first 4 lyrics is the description of a Santeria altar? But the way the song sounds, it sounds like a love song when it's a worship song to one of her ancestors. And she said, I go to sleep to that song.
E. coli virus.
That's what's happening.
Lord have mercy.
That's what's happening. You're listening to a song where she is worshiping the dead, a.k.a. demons. But it sound cool. It sound like pop. It sound exciting. It's demon.
Yo, E. coli virus is crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So the lyrics, it starts out saying, fresh white flowers in the new tea light, 9 cups of water, still water. It's essentially describing like a shrine, you know, to your ancestors. So what do you think about what she said? Again, who is Kehlani? Why should we care?
She's an she's a good artist. She's an R&B pop artist. I ain't gonna say back in the day she did date Kyrie and that kind of went left.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, but I think since then, I know I believe she was in a same sex relationship. So, but yeah, so she R&B pop kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
She came out with the "Hey Big Head" little slogan too. Then when she tried to text him after it was over, and she was like, "Hey Big Head," you know what I'm saying? So everybody started using that after that.
That's
too.
where that came from.
Yeah,
interesting. So I mean, it just shows that a lot of the artists that you listen to. That's why we had a segment on our show. We probably need to pick it up again called Dissect, where we would go through lyrics just like we did and let you know that the lyrics that your kids recite while you driving to them to school, the stuff that you just kind of ingest into your system is not biblical at all.
Yeah.
Like it is actually the opposite. So whenever it's kind of like brought to light, now Kehlani could do whatever she wants, but this is going out to your children. This is going out into your ears. And you need to know that this is not God honoring in any kind of way. And just in case you don't know, honoring your and this question came up. Somebody said this into our comment section about something else we did. But honoring your ancestors or praying to your ancestors is not okay, right? You can honor them, like have maybe a picture on the wall and say, "Oh man, remember Uncle Johnny?" Like, but to like worship them and talk to them, like that's not okay. Like clearly not okay.
It's like M.I.A. We were talking on 442 when he was here a couple weeks ago, but M.I.A. is like spreading through Atlanta like crazy, like an African religion where they do that exact same thing. They worship their ancestors. They even go as far as to prepare a meal and sit it at the table, and the ancestors supposed to come and eat dinner with them and have a meal with them. Like, and I had to tell my friend because he was thinking about it. I said, bro, if something shows up and eats that food and you don't know Jesus, hey, you in the world of trouble. But that's the kind of stuff that's going on. But once again, it's another religion to where people have some sort of control over the God they serve as opposed to being humble and submitting to the God that we serve.
I think another thing too is our God requires a standard, man. Like I seen a pastor talk about this recently. Like our God has a standard of living. And I think sometimes people don't want to meet that standard of living, and sometimes it seems like rules, but it's not rules. It seems like it's a protection to protect you, so you won't go away from, so you won't disappoint them, and also so that you won't like destroy yourself.
I think it was you that said on the call, like God is jealous. Like, yo, you playing around with worshiping this other person that I made that dude. I made that lady. You worshiping them over me?
Yeah.
Like, that's been a constant like problem with us over the years is worshiping the creation instead of the creator.
Yeah.
It happens over and over and over again. And he hates that.
Yeah.
Like, he hates it. So this is not like just like, oh, it's okay. Try not to do that anymore. It's like, stop doing it. Like that is not okay.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, it's scary, man. I found it interesting that at times it's and maybe it's because new believers getting saved and they still trying to practice it. I just find it interesting that more believers are still doing that. And when you find out, they're like, "What's wrong with that? I do that all the time, but what's the problem?" And then I think that scripture that we always kind of bring up is like when he came back to Saul or so, to get. And I think sometimes we take certain scriptures and use those, or we read the lost scriptures instead of the Bible in Deuteronomy and Leviticus and other stuff. And I know some people gonna say, "Well, they said don't eat shrimp, don't do this." But at the same time, the reason why it's like those are occult practices.
Mm-hmm.
That's what basically talking to the dead is, occult practices.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just talked about what Jackie said. Her husband was on Megan Ashley's podcast, and he said,
I knew God was mad at me, but I also knew that saying yes to him meant saying no to all the sin that I loved that never loved me back. What do you mean by that? God was mad at you?
He
Because
was.
don't you feel like that's a controversy? Like people say, God isn't mad at you. God is.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, he was mad.
No, the Bible literally says that God is angry at the wicked every day.
My goodness.
It literally says that. And so we have to understand that he's holy, he's righteous, and he hates sin. And so it is not about, when I want to be careful for people not to hear me saying that we have to be perfect or we have to fix ourselves, right? Because the gospel doesn't tell us that. The gospel tells us that when we accept Jesus Christ as our personal savior, we literally adopt his righteousness. He takes our sin and he gives us his righteousness, right? And so apart from Jesus, you don't deserve anything but the righteous wrath of God.
My God.
Because of your sin and your rebellion against him. And so every time I broke into cars, God was angry with me. Every time I slept with women outside of marriage, God was angry with me. Every time I fought in school, I got kicked out of school 3 times. God was angry with me.
Yeah.
Every time I got arrested, God was angry.
Yeah.
He's angry with the wicked. And so I needed somebody to live righteous on my behalf. I needed Jesus to give me his righteousness, right? So the wrath of God can be removed from me, right? And so that's what I meant, right? And the second part.
Because it doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. And I think people hear that. I think they hear that if you hear that God is mad at you, that he doesn't love you. But he does, because the Bible says that nothing can separate us from the love of God, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he doesn't hate sin.
Yeah, he hates
it.
He hates sin, but he also loves those whom he's called to himself. And I think that he loves us in a general sense of us being his creation, but he hates the thing.
All right, what do you think about what Preston Perry said?
That was dope. That was dope. I thought the first thing that came to my mind is like your parent. Like, you go to school and you get in trouble in school and you embarrass them, get that call home.
Yeah.
You got a good parent. Like, they're going to be angry with you.
Yeah.
They don't mean they don't love you, but they're going to be angry with you. And the Bible also talks about, like, God will punish you, you know what I'm saying, for doing the wrong thing. But I think, like, kind of what Candace was saying earlier, like, punishment can be love. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Discipline.
I'm going to discipline you because if you continue this kind of behavior, it's going to send you down a road you don't want to go on. So I'm going to discipline you because I love you and want to save you from that. So I thought what he said was dope. For sure.
Yeah, I guess the question is, I think we're getting confused over some things we've heard over the years. When it says like God hates the sin, not the sinner. How do you reconcile those two things? Because when I heard this, what came to mind is why we were mad at Orlando Bethel yelling at people on the side of the street when he said God hates you, God hates you.
Yeah.
How do we make that make sense when it says that God is upset with the wicked, he's angry at the wicked, but he still loves you?
I think when I hear that, I always think he's upset with the intention of wickedness versus the person that's stumbling in sin. You know what I mean? Like you're out there and you're practicing hate against a race, right? That's wicked. That would be angering God, right? But if you're a person who's trying to, get life right and you're a backslider or you're falling into sin that way, I feel like that doesn't apply to God saying that he's angry or hates the sinner, but just the fact that he hates the sin that you're in, but he loves you because you're his child. So I feel like that has to be according to intentional wickedness and practicing sin and hate every day.
So let me put you back on that corner where we saw Orlando Bethel with the bullhorn and the sign. If his sign said God is angry with you, is that
that's
okay
different? That's different. And it almost can't. You almost can't fit it on the sign what you really mean. It really needs to be, it really needs to be God is angry with you if you're doing this, because it breaks his heart or something like that. Like it needs to be more context to the sign. But no, I mean, and I was going to go back to that too. Orlando Bethel was a turnoff to me. So I know if you're a sinner and you're already, like this woman that was on our TikTok the other week, I know that would turn her off. she's walking past the stadium and she hears him screaming at her like that, she's definitely turned off.
So here's the other thing. I don't think that most people consider themselves, whether Christian, before you got saved, whatever, as wicked. I think that word is like, I think in everybody's mind that's reserved for like Hitler and like axe murderers.
Yeah.
I don't think
Serial
people
killers.
consider them, even you, before you were saved, as being wicked. How does that word land on you?
Yeah, like you said, I think, you think about Hitler, you think about Jeffrey Dahmer, you think about folks who did like heinous crimes, you say wicked. You don't think about the soccer mom who taking their kid to the soccer game every day and in the PTA and all this stuff. They don't know Jesus. Yeah, she's a great person. She does a lot for the community. She's wicked.
Yeah.
It don't seem like it lines.
Well, I'll say this. I think your heart says it all about who you are. You know what I mean? I think in God's eyes, we judge. In God's eyes, and it's going to sound bad, and some people going to, in God's eyes, that soccer mom and Hitler could be the same if they're rejecting him. You know what I mean? So if they're rejecting him, regardless if I'm a soccer mom, I pick up my kids, I love my community, when you ask about God and Jesus, I don't believe in that crap. Get away from me. As you're rejecting God, your heart is wicked.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let me take you back to where it started for me. Wizard of Oz, Wicked Witch of the West, right? To me, I'm like, well, I'm not wicked. So, I'm not like her. Yeah. So I think the word wicked just kind of became almost like synonymous to something that, you thought was like horrible. And you're like, well, I'm not that person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, what was she doing in the Wicked Witch of the West? Like trying to kill the dog and all this kind of crazy stuff.
But I think that's probably the biggest trick of the enemy is to convince you that your wickedness isn't that bad.
Facts.
That's what I think it really is. If you've been convinced over several years that the things that you do that offend God that He hates, so it's all right. You ain't as bad as them.
I think our number one lie to ourselves is that it's not harming nobody else, and that's a lie. Because at the end of the day, it's like it's harming you. That's the person that it's harming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And your thought process, when you talk to other people, it is harming other people.
Yeah.
Because your thought process of what you're talking about is spreading something. And honestly, it's spreading a lie that other people are receiving that they're starting to live. So it's basically like the Gremlins effect, where it's like you're pouring on other people and you're multiplying.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So that lie that you're telling a lie to people, even though you think it's the truth, you're telling a lie to somebody, and that person is spreading that lie. They get on YouTube, they spread that lie even more.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Even though it's harmless, you're not harming nobody, you're not physically harming nobody, but spiritually you could be harming them, and it could be using their thought processes that could take other people out.
No, that's real. Yeah. So it's something I think that you got to hear every now and then to remember that how bad sin is. I think we've kind of convinced ourselves it's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not so bad, but no, it's really bad.
Do you guys think people can be blameless, though, versus sinless? Because I think from other people going to be like, then how do you be a Christian then? Because then everything I do would, you know what I'm saying?
So
I think,
the only reason you could even call yourself blameless is not because of any of your own doing.
Yeah.
It's because Jesus was blameless.
Yeah.
And He covers you.
Yeah.
So if I'm God, I'm looking at you. I see my son.
Yeah.
I see a blameless person.
Gotcha.
It's not you. It's you surrendering to Him and saying, put you in me.
But I'm talking about living, though.
So you mean, is it possible for a person to be perfect?
Not perfect, but blameless. Meaning
blameless means perfect.
Well, meaning like above reproach. Like you're not doing anything, and you're not trying to not saying you're not trying to sin, but you're like focused so much on God that you don't have time to sin.
I think you could be perfect heart-wise. Like, you're going to commit sin.
Yeah.
But I think what made David a man after God's own heart, like David did a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But when David was confronted with the fact that he sinned, he repented and he agreed with God. So that's what makes you blameless and pure and perfect in heart is when you agree with what God says. You may sin and do something crazy. When God says, look, now you sinned against me, you say, I'm sorry, Lord, I repent.
And turn away.
And you seek to turn from what you did. That'll make you perfect in heart.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and I think the point is that you can't work your way to being perfect. You can't prove to God how perfect you are because you're not. And he sees you, He knows you better than you. You're not.
Yeah.
So it's the attitude and the heart posture is what I look for in myself and other people is your number one desire to please him, right? So even when you stumble, like he said, and it's pointed out to you, or he points it out to you, or you already know, is your reaction, no, that's my thing, I'm keeping that. Right. Then it's like, oh, man. You know what I mean? That's concerning. Because then that reveals that maybe you haven't been changed yet. Because that's what Paul is basically saying. A changed person doesn't think like that. Right. That's why it's always like, whether you believe in eternal security or not, the point is if you catch yourself in that mindset, be careful. Because either it didn't happen or you need to figure something out.
Yeah.
So, all right. So y'all remember M.I.A?
Yeah.
No one on is that no one on Conan? Yeah, she said that in a sample by Kanye, right? So she became a Christian a while back, and I had actually never heard her talk about it. I don't know if you guys had, but this is her talking.
You
about
recently became Christian?
I became Christian, yeah. I got baptized.
When was that?
I got baptized in 2022, but I became a Christian in 2017.
What sparked that awakening?
My real name is Madangi, right? And it's the goddess of music and spoken word.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, in Hinduism, which I didn't know. So I grew up an atheist. Even when I came out as M.I.A, I was an atheist. And my dad always said religion is used as it's a tool for social control. And he was raised Catholic, though. And so then, I guess after I made the M.I.A album is when I found out what my name meant. So I became a Hindu. And so then I went down the path of Hinduism and studied it and I tried to understand it a lot. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, 5 years into it, I had a vision of Jesus. Yeah, while I was awake. It makes sense. It gives you peace now because I don't know where else to find it. Even Hinduism, I have a lot of people around me who are. It's chaotic and therapy doesn't have the answer. Science doesn't really have the answer. And science is a study to me, but it's not the answer. And I was very judgmental. My mum was a Christian for a long, and I was very judgmental and always felt like I'm an intellectual and I looked down at Christians as something like naive people followed because they had nothing else. But I don't think that anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. What do y'all think about that?
That's powerful.
Did y'all know about? You knew about this already?
I knew she got saved, but I didn't know her name was a Hindu god.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Y'all know what y'all naming y'all children, people, before you say their name.
Wow.
But it's an awesome testimony, though. I agree with what VC saying. It was a beautiful testimony of God showing up. And my only thing about her is sometimes she does get very deep in conspiracy theories. Yeah. So my prayer is that she would stand on the word. You know what I mean? And really because when you live by conspiracies, them joints. Yeah, I'm saying that from experience.
The conspiracy J.
Yeah. I had to stop, bro. I had to step back and be like, okay, what is the Bible? A lot of stuff always in my life for some stuff brings me back to that. And this is why I always like Triple E's video Real Vision, where people are, the one dude is walking around and people are in bullhorns and saying all types of stuff and he's writing it down and trying to figure it out and come to the Bible and the Bible is the final answer for him. That's always been something for me personally where it's like, when you hear something, it's like, but does that, and God and the power of the Holy Spirit just be like, that's not right though. You know what I mean? Like, and it makes me go study, you know what I mean, and search and stuff.
What this brought up to my mind was that whole fear that you have, or that question that comes up of, well, I know about God, but what about the people in this country or that country where their main religion is something else? Yeah. What's going to happen to them? And the assurance I always felt is that Jesus knows how to get to his people, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that he can give you a vision. He can appear just like he appeared to Paul. Yeah. It's like somebody that was the furthest away from God possible, right? Yeah. Killing Christians, right?
Yeah.
He can appear to him. He's gonna find his people, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that gave me comfort that something like this can happen. I would say though, pray for her because there is something that she said that was a little concerning. I had to cut around a lot of the conspiracy stuff because it didn't really apply. But she said something to the effect of, when I was at Hindu, I was pursuing truth. Jesus appeared to me, and he's the truth. So I'm following him because I'm all about truth. And, there may be another truth later. And I was like, oh, shoot. So just pray.
But that's why I'm saying get in that Bible.
Yeah.
Because the Bible will, like when you read the word, and I think that's what we have with a lot of new believers and people who've been following church, honestly, more than they've been following. Because there's a lot of people that just don't read the Bible.
Because essentially, I mean, that's not the wrong attitude, but it just shows that, man, are you convinced? You know what I mean?
Any truth could sway you, basically. That's what you're saying.
You have to be convinced, man. Yeah. So if it's still like up for grabs, and that makes me nervous, and not just for her, but just for people who feel that way.
Why do you think discipleship lacks in churches? Is it messy? Is discipleship messy that people don't want to get involved with?
I think there are plenty of church communities all over the world where there is no problem. It's just that we hear about these are edge cases, right? This person is super famous. This person is super famous. This person goes to this mega church. That's not the norm. There's millions of small communities where this is happening naturally.
Yeah, but discipleship seems like I keep hearing that word like the church need to disciple, and I'm like, what's the do people don't want? And that's another thing too. You can't go across the water if you don't want the water. You know what I'm saying? Is that the person got to say, yeah, I want to be discipled, or do you think churches are not just offering discipleship? Because small groups is good, but it's not like hard old school discipleship. You know what I mean?
I think discipleship costs. I think discipleship is an investment. Like you truly discipling somebody, you're doing life with people.
Yeah.
And I think the way the world is set up now, we live in this microwave society where everybody just wants instant results. Everybody's always on the go. Everybody's always moving. You got to have patience with discipleship.
Yeah.
Because when you're spending time with somebody, you may not see them develop or their relationship with God get to a certain place in a certain time frame that you feel like it should get there. So are you going to continue to stick in there with that person and be patient through the highs and the lows?
Yeah.
Sometimes they may backtrack, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes a struggling believer can look like an unbeliever, you know what I'm saying? So you go through ugly processes with people when you talk about discipleship. And so we in a culture where people are asking you how you doing in church, they really don't want to know. They just ask you that because it's just the thing to say at church.
Yeah.
So if we have that kind of culture, who's really going to sit back and call somebody weekly and check on them, going to sit down and have lunch with them, go have dinner with them, take them over here to the game, go over here and spend time with them, go to the school when they're having programs. Like, you really invested. And I think that's what it is. It's like people want an instant faith. Like, you should be healed by now. You should be delivered by now. You should have it figured out. And when you don't do that, people get impatient.
Get frustrated. Yeah.
Not true. But I always feel like this, and I know we move on. I always feel like it's more easy. I feel like churches seem like it's more easier to disciple youth than it is to disciple adults. Which is interesting to me. That's just crazy.
Because it's you know how I don't remember who told me this, but it didn't even apply to Christian stuff. But children have that childlike faith that Jesus was talking about. Now, the person that was talking to me related it to when you have to pull a tooth, right?
Yeah.
When you're a child, your teeth are very soft. It's easy to get them in and out. But when you're an adult, they're solid, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these people, they're so set in ways that discipling somebody is a challenge because you got to uproot a lot of stuff, right? They have a stern base of what they believe is true that has to be taken all the way down. So that's why it's easier because a kid doesn't really have a lot of history to go back on. They absorb whatever you tell them. But as soon as they start getting their own opinions and start seeing the world and this and that, now they think what they think. Man, it's hard to break some of that stuff back down and give them the truth again. So I think, like you said, a lot of people just like, I don't got time for that.
Yeah.
That's what it boiled down to.
It's really a calling. You really have to really decide that I'm going to spend time, live life with this person, deal with all the mess, deal with my own mess in the midst of that. It's not like you don't have infinite time. You got problems too. So it's really a challenge.
I just see like it's so rewarding though when you think about it in the Bible, like people discipling people and how like God just was moving in those churches when they was discipling people.
So we talked about Terrance Howard last time we were here, but we missed this one. This actually happened before the last topic, but your boy,
as an
here we
actor,
go.
You're more like a medium when you really get there. You go into this zone and you really divorce yourself of who you are and you just become a garment that something else puts on. Now, a lot of people sit up there and do impersonations of other folks instead of allowing that spirit, but I sit up and I'll pray for a little bit and go in a dark place, go in the bathroom, turn off the lights, look in the mirror. We'll have the light on at first, and then after 1 minute, turn the light off and search until you see your own glow, your own aura, and then you watch it change.
Wow.
And it's a scary thing because you'll feel like some hands are on you, and you lose a little bit of control of what you're doing. But, if you stay with it, you'll be inhabited by something, and then you walk out, and the character's with you, and you got to know how to say goodbye to it. If you really want to get there. A lot of people are afraid to empty themselves and be filled up with something else. But, as an actor, you're an emotional prostitute.
Wow.
You put on whatever you need for the John. You're turning a trick. You're turning an emotional trick. Wow. And it's nothing more glorious than that.
Like the on the
I know that wig is taking on, but he's saying some crazy stuff.
Yes.
But that word is
don't let the wig distract you. That was wild what he just said.
Yeah.
Golly.
I'll be honest, the wig distracted me. I was sitting there like, the Black Brady Bunch?
So he was on the set for a movie he's doing with Kevin Hart and everybody. So that's why he was looking like that. But
okay, good.
Did y'all hear what he said?
Yes. Dude, it's crazy.
This Negro
I think a lot of actors and actresses do that though.
Hey, look, y'all think we playing when we say this stuff is real? This is real.
That's
like,
kind of
even me. I come in here and I'm like, is that this conspiracy? This man is saying straight out of his face that he accepts demons into his body to control him so he acts better.
But didn't somebody say?
Nuts.
Didn't somebody say? I don't.
Idris Damson said he called the devil.
The devil. But they were saying that these movies, some of the movie roles are just. I heard somebody say, I don't want to name the actress because I can't remember when she said it because I don't want to take her.
Halle Berry?
But she was saying like these roles are nothing but spirits roaming, and once you accept them, then you have to.
Halle
put
Berry
them in,
said
like
that.
Okay, I don't know
because she played that Dorothy Dandridge role, and she said she connected with something, and the dress started flying around the room. And all kinds of,
Yeah, that was what Heath Ledger said about playing the Joker.
Hey guys, this is weird.
Yeah, this Negro said I go in the bathroom.
I'll say this.
And cut the lights
I'm not
off
saying
and
this
look
is
in
gonna
the mirror
happen
in the dark.
I would say this. That doesn't happen. I don't think every actor and actress do
He's
it.
saying they not real. He's saying they ain't ready for this.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Like, because if that's the next step, if you want to get those academy, because I remember back in the day, and it was a video of Denzel saying like I was talking to spirits to get into this role.
Hey yo,
I don't know if he's still doing that, but
hey, this is crazy. So not only are they doing that, but then we go and sit there and watch them. We watch the spirit dance around on the screen.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, but think about it. It's some roles that we look at certain people and you be like, that wasn't them. That was such and such. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, it was such and such.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't such and such. It was a demon.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got up in him. It was a demon.
Yeah, I just think, man, for all the believers in Hollywood, if you come across this video, man, pray and really understand this industry, man.
Yo, quit. I don't pray, but no, get out.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying, I'm saying it could be Christian actors. I mean, I don't think nobody. I mean, I think preferably the Holy Spirit.
I'm starting to wonder, bro.
I'm starting to wonder.
This is one of our
man,
oldest topics.
Wait. Some of them Christian movies are bad.
Movies and
they're not going.
I'm not talking about people do Christian movies. It doesn't even count. What I'm saying is, if you out there in real like situations, I'm starting to wonder if you could be a Christian doing that. Because like, you remember the old topic we did, the can you be a Christian actor? Yo, I don't know because, of course, yes, you can, but. If
God's not dead, make some money, Sean.
It's fine. It's
I think
excluded from this conversation. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah,
we're talking about dark Hollywood.
Yeah. So if this is common, if like this is not just isolated, because
he's not the only one doing this.
He's a strange person, but it sounds like he's saying this is what happens.
Yeah.
And we saw Damson Idris said we did that topic, and he said he did that.
Yeah.
If y'all don't, what do y'all think is happening? He clearly knows something weird is going on here, right?
Yeah.
You're okay with that? right after that, he said there's no good and evil. So he probably doesn't even realize how dangerous what he's doing is. So if this is happening in Hollywood and this is made for our entertainment, what is happening to us? If we're just accepting these people are controlling the media, they're doing this kind of nonsense to get the stuff on screen. What is going on? Like, are we just, because I'm not the conspiracy guy, but are we just ignoring a huge problem where we're ingesting all this media from people doing this nonsense?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think we are.
Giving them trophies.
It ain't no way around it. We are. From the music to the movies. I'm just sitting here thinking in my mind, I was like, dang, all this stuff really is corrupt. Like, all this, like, we are, like, we know what we said, but really think about it. We're surrounded by darkness, bro. The entertainment and stuff we get. Like, it's people in the bathroom in the dark looking at the mirror and waiting until he start glowing to play a role.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And I think people have a desire to be, like, huge and successful. So I don't believe every actor is doing it. Some folks are just content with just being in movies. But people who trying to be at the top of the top, they trying to get the Oscars and the Golden Globes and stuff. They're like, man, it's only a few sources of power you're going to go to in this life. If you ain't going to God, you know what I'm saying?
And I will say this. I mean, when me and M.I.A visited L.A., I did know that it's a very spiritual place. It's a very spiritual. And I'm not just talking about church. I'm talking about all types of.
Oh, we were there for the BET Awards. We saw it.
It's a lot of.
We saw it. It was
tarot
scary.
cards and all.
It's heavy, bro.
And remember the video, the video Rock the Bells, the one that it was like the behind the scenes of the rock industry. You showed me that years ago.
Yeah.
But they had one. I don't think did you have the Hollywood Unmasked? It was something about Hollywood, but back in the day they were doing that. They were.
This is
not new.
No.
This is not new. Old school. Lucio Ball and all those type folks back in the day, they were doing stuff like this.
So I don't think maybe some of y'all are like me, where it's like, I mean, they can't really be doing this. Who would be that dumb? They're that dumb.
You think we desensitized to some of this stuff?
What do you mean? In what way?
I think we see so much darkness and wickedness around. It's almost like with school shootings, right? When Columbine happened, it was a frenzy. Now it's like we'll talk about it for a couple of days.
It's not that big deal.
And then it's not a big deal. So it's like with this stuff, it's like we know Hollywood is wicked. We know the music industry is wicked.
We keep trying to get in it.
But these are things that we've been presented with that make it seem like it's the place to be where you can make money and fame and live out your wildest dreams. And we keep pursuing the things that we know are wicked. We can come on this show and get a Beyonce lyric and pretty much tell you how she worshiping another god. We can tell you how Kehlani doing Santeria. And people will still go out here on their Apple Music or Spotify platform on their way to work or riding around the car with their kids and still play this stuff. It's like, what is going on in our mind to what we don't understand? It's evil at play. You know what I'm saying? Like, are we just so used to evil that we just like, it's just a little evil. We're good. Just a little sin. Well,
Blameless, one of our people in the chat said, acting has its roots back in ancient Greece when it was part of worshiping the pagan gods, including Apollo.
I mean, this is
because it's a hypocrite. An actor's a hypocrite. That's, you know what I mean? Yeah. In essence, that word comes from that. You know what I mean?
You're pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
So this is more so for the young Christian actors coming up. How are you going to navigate this world? He's not saying that. He didn't in this video say you're forced to do it or whatever, right? So it's not like, I mean, I'm sure that happens too. But I was more so looking at the lady's reaction, right? It was more like, what? but this wasn't her first interview with him, so it's like, this is a friend. You know, you feel privileged to have this opportunity to talk to him. So it's like, you're not gonna be like, what?
Right.
That's what I mean. I don't know if I could have helped myself if I was talking to him. I'd be like, what do you do? What you do? What?
I'm like, bro,
what are you talking about?
Cut.
Yeah. You mean you just admitted that are you that comfortable with me?
Right.
Did you hear what you just said?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
He just felt, he's sitting there with a ridiculous wig on. Yeah, I just get possessed by demons and act.
But let's go back. Let's go.
Wait, why would you be proud? Like, okay, to me, what makes acting so like, oh wow, he did a good job is that that
method acting.
You did something impressive. Like you pretended to be this person.
Yeah.
You're basically saying it wasn't even you.
Yeah.
Why are you bragging about that? I wouldn't tell anybody that. Yeah. You're basically saying somebody else did it. I was just a puppet. Why would you? That's not even impressive.
But think about this. Remember when my man from Snowfall said that. Come on, devil. Remember he said that, and everybody was looking at him like, yeah. Like this ain't nothing new. Yeah. They were looking at him like, don't say that. Like, don't tell everybody that.
So what's our advice to our young brothers and sisters who like, I mean, we have artists and actors that watch the show. Like, how do you deal with this?
But also back in the day, remember that's how Sasha Fierce was born. Because Beyonce said the same thing. A spirit into her, and Sasha Fierce was born. Back in the day, it's a video of her saying,
I find it and let's do it.
Yeah,
she said,
find it. Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, she said, I just stand right here and the spirit comes upon me. And
see, growing up when I was younger, I'm like, is this just like a turn of phrase, or like, do they understand the seriousness of what they're saying, or is it just like something you just kind of say flippantly?
Yeah.
No, they're really doing it.
Yeah.
That's nuts, guys. Hey, stop. Cut it out.
Evil at play, man.
Cut it out.
Imagine somebody doing that for God's night.
So you asked what was the advice that we would give.
What? Actually, you better be, because you better be influenced by some kind of spirit, either the Holy Spirit or this. You can't. If it's
sure
just you,
praying.
that's not good either, right?
I'm sure the Kendrick brothers are praying before they do scenes.
Right, but all I'm saying is that like you are being inhabited by a spirit some way or another.
Yeah,
you choose.
Yeah,
you're gonna be doing
Holy
what
Spirit?
he's doing, or you like something's gonna take over, right?
Yeah.
So I think.
Do you think God would inhabit somebody? Do you think God would Okay. Of course, he inhabits us with the Holy Spirit. So do you think the Holy Spirit would give somebody something for a movie role to reach somebody?
What do you mean? Give them what?
Like, no, to give them that give them that extra acting to the point where somebody's like, I saw that movie and I went and got saved after that movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not the same thing, but it's
it's the good guy version of
Yeah.
what he just said.
Yeah, I think the advice is you got to tell people, be careful which roles you accept.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, make sure that the people that you're working with. That's really important.
But is it even possible? Is my
I
question.
think so. I don't think Denzel possessed.
He said that Denzel said the same thing.
He said that year back in the day. Like,
for real?
Like, I think
no.
This was like this was like years ago. This was like around the Glory time, the Malcolm X time, where he was talking about like that.
He be talking, so he be talking right.
Find that clip.
Okay, I'll try to find that.
Next show planned out already.
that right there, that'd be disappointing right there.
But that was back. I don't know if he's doing that now.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, you got to answer to that, bro.
Yeah,
I think he probably had to. I think Training Day was probably something that would have caused him to say something like that. Like, you got to be a mean character, a mean person, a mean-spirited person.
Hey, they ain't nothing. They ain't no role, no
X
job, no position, no opportunity worth going in the dark and asking the demon to possess you.
No,
that sounds like Candyman.
Well, I would say this for some people, you don't know their desperate level. You don't know if this is
as desperate as you want.
I'm saying for a Terrence Howard, I would say think about a Terrence Howard. Like, prior to Empire, what was something that was popping off for him?
All he had was Hustle and Flow.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, it didn't really do much for him like Empire did.
Nah, it didn't.
Yeah.
So is it from Blameless? God does not distinguish reality from pretending and acting. If you play a role of a fornicator to God, there is not a difference. Do you believe that?
We've gone over this when Kirk Cameron was saying that he always calls his wife in for kissing roles. Remember that? Remember Kirk Cameron? He always said that if he was going to do a role where he kissed a woman in a movie, it had to be his wife.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people take that seriously. Like, you can't be cheating on your spouse like that.
That's a big question. We probably need to do it as a separate topic because that was our original topic. That's why I brought it up, because we've talked about this for years.
Yeah.
We've asked like Braylon Evans and all that. And I mean, even when they say the answer, I'm like, okay.
So he asking, can you play the role of a fornicator without actually being a fornicator?
Yeah.
You can? Yeah, I think so.
It's even worse than that. It's like he's basically saying God can't tell the difference.
Oh, God can't tell. Nah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think I could be an actor in a movie, and we could talk about you're just going to be the like the cheating husband who just out here, who's an adulterer. I'm not really an adulterer when you cut the camera off. You know what I'm saying? But I could play the role so you can get the picture of what
That's like saying Ernest was a fornicator now because of the thing.
Yeah, it's like
the film you did.
The movie is just trying to paint a picture. Like you can have a Christian
you helped
film.
direct?
Yeah. We're all complicit.
Even if it's a Christian film about
Shut
a young
this whole thing down.
young single man who just trying to find his way.
You're gonna throw me under the bus, Sean.
He's out here having sex with different women in the movie, but then he meets Christ, and then Christ. If it's a Christian film, like you could play a role without it being who you are.
The point is that if you're gonna do this at all, you have to have good guys and bad guys in your script.
Yeah.
Like my dad, when he was in Atlanta, they had this thing called the Passion Play, this huge play in Atlanta, and he played one of the guards that had to say crucify him. So at that moment, does that make him one of the people who
stoned
Well,
Jesus
he did
at my church
crucify
on
him.
Easter Sunday?
Our sins.
Stoned him?
Right, but what
had to stone Jesus.
does that immediately make him that person in real life? I was trying to focus too.
How could you?
Easter Sunday.
Crucify made him bad as stone.
Yeah, Easter
You threw a
Sunday. I
rock
was
at
throwing rocks. Yeah. Yeah.
How could you do it, bro?
Big rocks. How big was the rock? How big was the rock?
Oh man.
It was little sponges,
I think God. I think it depends on your heart. To me, I think God sees your heart, and He sees how far you willing to take it.
It's the intention of why does this movie exist? If the movie exists at some point to bring glory to God, there's going to be you have to show the bad and the good along
It's
the
almost
way
like somebody's
to the point.
testimony.
I say this. It didn't feel good stoning Jesus. Like
You felt
pretending- yeah, like I got in the car driving home and I was like,
God, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yo, shout out to the 170 people.
Yeah.
This is the most people we've ever had on YouTube watching us live before. So if you're brand new, please subscribe right now. Take a second, just check. Because what I realized last time we did this was some people don't even realize they're not subscribed. So you probably see our videos pop up all the time and think you're subscribed. So just double check, subscribe right now. I'm going to watch that. Hopefully that could click over to 61.3 before we leave here. So go and check that for us right now. But we appreciate you joining us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Join the community. There's so many awesome people in the chat that want to get to know you. So tell them where you're from, tell them who you are, all that kind of stuff, and they'll make you feel like you're at home.
Yeah, man.